there is a former Tennessee Vol, one of the most beloved of all times, that could replace Liam Coen as the Kentucky offensive coordinator. It's T. Martin, who won a national championship at Tennessee. I want everything great to happen for T. Martin. There's zero question about that. My question is, do you want it to happen in the SEC? Would this make Kentucky a better football team, Caleb? And I ask you that question, brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Does T. Martin, instead of Liam Coen, make Kentucky a better football team?
I love T, and I actually think he's a very underrated offensive coordinator. He was scapegoated by USC during the Clay Helton days. Remember that, Dave? Where they scapegoated him for the offensive problems, and so they fired him. And it was very clear that they had issues beyond T. Martin at offensive coordinator. Actually, when he was there, they won back-to-back They won the Pac-12 title one year, and they won the Rose Bowl 2 years in a row. So it certainly wasn't T. Martin's fault. Or the Rose Bowl 1 year, the Pac-12 title another. Anyways. But I can't say he would be an upgrade. I think Liam Coen might have been the best offensive coordinator in the SEC this past year. I mean, what he did at Kentucky.
Now, are you considering Lane Kiffin, Josh Heupel offensive coordinators? Even though
I'm considering all of them. Yes,
okay.
Yes, and I mean, I am very high on Liam Coen. Now, people are going to be like, come at me because Kentucky was 58th this year in points per game, but they averaged 29 points a game. What did they do the year before with the quarterback that, whatever you think of him, was at the top of the second round of the NFL draft? They averaged 20 points a game before Liam Coen got there. Okay, so Liam Coen was there 2 years, 2021 and 2023. 2021, they averaged 32 points. A Mark Stoops Kentucky team averaged 32 points. Same quarterback. 2022, they go and average 20 points. 2023, he comes back, different quarterback. They average 29 points a game. Liam Coen is an amazing offensive coordinator and you know this, Dave, you know Mark Stoops. He cares nothing about the offense whatsoever. I don't think there's a coach that cares less about offense than Mark Stoops in the SEC.
No. So basically, if you're a Tennessee fan, you should root that T. Martin gets the job. So what's Liam Coen doing? What's his situation?
Liam Coen is leaving. He's another one of the coaches we talk about. I believe he's leaving for an NFL job. Yeah, he is. He took the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers job, so he's going to be coaching Baker Mayfield now. So, and I think he's going to do a very good job of that. I think that Liam Coen is an amazing offensive coordinator. I think T. Martin's a good offensive coordinator. I got no evidence to suggest that he's Liam Coen. Now, what T. Martin can do, and you know this, Dave, well, you know, T. Martin coached high school ball in Georgia. T. Martin has some really good connections. T. Martin is kind of the type of head offensive coordinator that he might steal a player out of Georgia, right? He might steal a player or two out of Georgia for Kentucky.
Sure. Or Alabama.
Yeah, exactly. And
where he's from.
And so I think Tennessee should be happy that Liam Coen's gone. Now, T. Martin is a better option for Kentucky than another offensive coordinator could be. So Tennessee should maybe worry about that. But I don't really think it matters because I honestly think Tennessee is going to own Kentucky no matter what. So I think T. Martin is actually a fine hire for them. Look, I'm going to say this. I think a lot of Tennessee fans, because of stories they don't know, and Dave, you've told me this over the phone, but I think we should just be open about it now because a lot of people don't know it. People think T. Martin has kind of rejected Tennessee at different times in the past. That's not been the case. He wanted that job that Butch Jones interviewed him for, and you told me that was a sham interview.
Yeah, a sham interview every bit as much as Butch Jones would call recruiting analysts and say, add a star to this guy. He did it for a public relations move. That's why he did it. He never had a job. T. Martin never had a real offer, never had a real interview, I was told, which I think is a dastardly way to treat one of your most beloved players. I think T. Martin is a middle-of-the-pack coordinator. And
I do.
I think he can be a strong recruiter for you, but I don't know that that's his desire. I think he wants to be a head coach. And now we see Gerard Mayo, former Vol, as a head coach. Of this latest crop, who could you most see becoming a head coach one day, or becoming a coach one day, or having success one day. This latest crop, either players in the past couple of years or players now. Because I've got one for you that he told me personally.
I'm gonna stick on Team Martin, and I'm gonna tell you why. Dave, you
No,
ever
wait,
known a
no, I meant the current players, like either players coming in this year, the Hypel era. Who could you see being a coach?
Oh, it's probably a guy that you had on your show, Jacob Warren.
It could be. I don't think he wants to work that much, which is smart. I think it's Hendon Hooker. I think he will be the next coach for Tennessee. Now, with T. Martin, what kind of impact does that have on the SEC if he takes the Kentucky job? Jacob Warren gets a vote online as well.
I think with T. Martin, you could be looking at a potential coach in waiting in a situation. I don't know how long Mark Stoops wants to stay at Kentucky. You may know, Dave. I'm not sure. I know he's flirted with other jobs and things like that. But do you ever know a coach, and you probably know more of these types of coaches than I do. You know types of coaches who make better head coaches than coordinators, right?
Yes.
Like, I think wouldn't you say T. Martin? Philip Fulmer. T. Martin might be in that category, right? Makes a better head coach than a coordinator.
Yeah, but to be real honest with you, it's tough to make that jump past the coordinator position, especially when he's African American. If you just want to be real open and honest about it.
No, I agree. That's true. There is, and look, I'm just going to be honest with you. In 2017, Fulmer, when he hired Jeremy Pruitt, that T. Martin should have. If you were going to hire Jeremy Pruitt, then you should have gone ahead and hired T. Martin. He was eminently more qualified than Jeremy Pruitt in that moment as a coordinator. But different story, different time. You don't want to hire former beloved players as head coach, because then it becomes really hard to fire them, i.e. Johnny Majors, as you know, in the 80s. You stay loyal to your former players for too long. But T. Martin, one of the things that helps him, look at what he just did at Baltimore. This is why his profile is so high right now. He was Baltimore's quarterbacks coach this past year, and he turned Lamar Jackson back into an MVP. And now he's worked under Todd Monken for a while. And so, and who I still think people blaming Todd Monken for how Baltimore lost that game don't know football. That was Lamar Jackson's fault.
That was Lamar Jackson's fault. And for those that don't know, Monken, he's the offense coordinator for the Ravens, and he was previously at Georgia, just to get everybody kind of up to speed.
Yeah, to get everybody called up.
And I think that I agree with you. I think he's one of the best coordinators in football. I don't care if you say college or NFL or whatever. I think he's one of the best coordinators in football.
Yeah, I agree. So I think because of that, I think T. Martin is the type of offensive coach. Now, this could hurt him at Kentucky, but maybe not, because Kentucky wants to win with defense anyway. But he's the type of offensive coach. He's kind of a Jim Chaney-esque, and I don't mean this in a negative way. You know, there's coaches that with talent, they make the talent maximize their potential, but without talent, they can't coach mediocre talent to play above its level, but they can coach talented players to maximize what they can do. You see what I'm saying?
That's fair. On the message board, Mead Drinker has Gaston Moore that could be a coach with his current crop of balls. I could see that. It's kind of you learn the system as a backup quarterback. You're not talented enough really to win the job at any point, but you want to be around football. I could definitely see that happen.
Jim Bob Cooter.
Jim Bob Cooter. Jackson Lampley is another one so those are some good shout outs. And then somebody said Butch Jones, that former Vol, might actually be a coach one day. I have to be honest. Is he still at Arkansas State, or did he get fired? Because I know things.
No, he's still at Arkansas State. And I also have to be honest. You know what's so funny about him, Dave? Between Fulmer and Heupel, he's the most successful coach Tennessee had, and he's also the most hated. Like, it's actually really funny.
Yeah, that happens when you have sociopathic tendencies. Smoky Mountain Red said Navy Schuler. I think Navy and the Schuler family are going to be fine without getting into coaching and not working those hours, because I think they're pretty well off. I don't know that he's going to want. I think he'll get involved with the real estate business, would be my guess, Caleb, because there's money to be made with the Schulers there.
There is plenty of money to be made with the Schulers. And Heath worked in Washington. Newsflash: when you work in Washington, you can always make a call for your son to get a job. It's very, very easy after that.
Yes, it is. And this shows some respect, Dave. Butch made a bowl and had shirts in it. Champions of life. We should spend like the end of every show just ripping Butch Jones. Colton gets a shout out with some love. That was a pretty good line, Colton. Smoky Mountain Red said, "Do we all see all the success that Bo Hardigree had?"
Oh yeah, Bo Hardigree is coaching. And I believe it's for the Raiders. But yeah, it's for the Raiders. He's he was recently the offensive coordinator for the Raiders. I believe he's no longer that. But yeah, Bo Hardigree has been coaching in the pros too. And Antonio Pierce didn't keep Hardigree on, the new Raiders coach. But yeah, it's funny because as we are looking back, one of the funny where T. Martin really hit a negative, Dave, was people in Tennessee thought he turned down the Tennessee job, which he didn't. But then
was that the narrative that
that was the narrative. That was the narrative.
That's shameful because that narrative, I guarantee you, came from Butch Jones.
Yeah, it did. But but then T. Martin got caught on a hot mic trashing Jalen Hurd during his recruiting.
Well, I remember that. So is he?
And he turned out to be right about Jalen Hurd.
Well, he did, and he should have been a defensive end. He'd still be playing in the NFL. Do I think Mayo will be successful at New England? Boy, Travis, I don't know. I think it really depends on what they have around him as far as the personnel guys. Are they going to be able to bring people in? I hope so. He's a very, very smart individual, very likable player, kind of quiet. He was one of those guys that I didn't really get a good feel for his personality because I don't think he liked the media, which isn't unusual. Do I think he'll be successful to find success? I could definitely see him turning them into a 500 team at the bare minimum and knocking on the door at the playoffs. The question is, do you get to 12 wins? Are you a team that makes a Super Bowl run? That's a different level. I don't know that any of us could predict that would happen of a guy that has just become a head coach for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. And it also depends on heck, Bill Belichick was a 500 coach at Cleveland. The only year he made the playoffs was the year Nick Saban's last year as his defensive coordinator. And then he's 5-11 his first year, and then smartly makes the switch to Tom Brady. Great defensive coach. Dave, I want to know what you think on this with coaches. And I don't like to go here all the time because I think it's sometimes unfairly used because do you think Wonderlic score is indicative of how good of a coach you could be? Or do you think it just absolutely means nothing?
No, I think that's stupid. And as a matter of fact, I will tell you, I played Jeopardy with on the PlayStation last night with some friends, and you can pick the answers. I didn't get one. Caleb, do you think I'm dumb?
No, I don't think you're dumb.
Okay.
But that's a trivia game, though. That's different from a Wonderlic.
Well, but it's the phrasing of the questions, too. So, like the Wonderlic, I could see somebody having trouble with the test and still being an intelligent human being. So, like me, I have trouble with Jeopardy. Some guys may have trouble with the Wonderlic test. I don't think that's indicative personally of how good you'll be. Now, extremes are like my buddy Chad Pennington, I think got a perfect score and he was able to maximize his ability. You would agree with that. He wasn't very talented. And then on the flip side, I think if you're just on the bottom end of it, that you may have some problems dealing with
like when Vince Young got a 6 on it.
Yes, with adult issues. You may have problems in your life other than football. Vince Young did make like a 6 on there.
Yeah. And Vince Young still probably could have been good, but he would. And I blame Jeff Fisher for a lot of the stuff that went down back then. But Vince Young was very emotional in his reactions to things, and wasn't forward thinking. But it's Peyton Manning's was. You're right, because Peyton Manning's was fine, but it wasn't like blow you away. You know what I mean? So like, I think if as long as you get in the double digits, you're not like you're not like struggling. You know what I mean?
Now that I'm back in Knoxville, going down memory lane, did I or did I not take an ACT test for a high school buddy of mine to get into college? Did I or did I not?
Oh my God. Yeah, I think you did just because you're saying that now.
We're going to leave that sit.